Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good morning in Australia. This is a special episode. I am interviewing a man called Vincenzo Barney, a New York writer, and we're discussing One Battle After Another. A great show. Very evil in many ways. So we're going to be discussing it. I'm just going to send him the StreamYard link. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like. Helps us reach more people. And I am just sending the link to Vincenzo. Hopefully he's going to start very soon. If you're watching, please leave a comment if the audio is okay. Let me know, please. Testing, 1, 2, 3. One second. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. The Drew Pavley Show, a special episode discussing with Vincenzo Barney, a good man. Please leave a comment if you're watching. I see Vincenzo has joined the chat. I'm going to add him in a second. I'm just testing some audio stuff on last second. I hope my audio's one. Hang on. Please work. Okay. Vincenzo, how are you, man?
Drew, good to see you.
Good to properly meet, man. Good to properly meet. We've been following each other on Twitter for a little bit.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, no. Let's give it a minute or two for some, so we can wait for more people to join before we get into our discussion about One Battle After Another. You should definitely share it to your followers if you can. Retweet the link.
Yeah, I did.
Excellent. I'll retweet one more time. Just got to give it a minute or two for some more people to join us.
Okay, cool.
How's New York City today?
It's been good. I'm not in it right now. I'm back at my folks' house on by the ocean.
Oh, go to. Very nice.
But it's been interesting. You know, the whole Mom Donnie discourse has been fun.
Yeah. That's good. Before we go into One Battle After Another, let's discuss Zoran. Tell me what it's like on the ground over there.
Okay. You want to talk now?
Yeah. Let's go into it. Let's start talking about the great Zoran Mamdani. Oh, damn, beautiful. We got a 20 euro super chat. Thank you very much from UCTGC. Thank you, sir. That's excellent.
That's awesome. I get 50 cents from that, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so tell us about what it's like on the ground right now in New York City. The Big Apple. As you know, I'm from New York myself.
Well, of course, yeah. As an honorary New Yorker, I would actually be more interested in what you have to tell me about what's going on right now.
That's very true. It's very it's beautiful on the ground in New York City right now. The Big Apple.
The weather's finally tolerable. You know, it's like not hot anymore, so it's really nice to just be out. But people, I mean, I think most people are just sort of excited for most people that I know in my wheelhouse are excited for Mom Donnie. And
because it's the arts crowd. It's the arts crowd.
Yeah, and like Cuomo's just not popular there. And Sliwa is such a character. Like Sliwa's actually very interesting to watch in these debates. And he's been a New Yorker, you know, he's been like a character, like a public figure in New York for so long. I think Cuomo should have dropped out and let it be Sliwa versus Mamdani, and that would be way more interesting politically.
That would have been goated. I think Cuomo is a horrible guy, very boring guy. Many people say there are terrible sex crimes in his past. And Sliwa is a funny bloke. And my first preference was Eric Adams. Even though he was corrupt, even though he did all these terrible things, I think he's a funny bloke.
Did you ever see that video where somebody's interviewing him and they're saying, if you could sum up New York City in one word, what would it be? And he says, New York. He goes, "This is a city you can wake up one day and the building is flown into by a jet airliner, and the next day a friend of yours is opening a new restaurant. You can get. I mean, anything happens in this place. It's wonderful. You know,
it's so good. That was I think he wasn't even trying to be funny there. He
wasn't.
Like, naturally, yeah. He's such an eccentric character. I love. He's
like, anything could happen. You know, a jet airliner can crash into a building. You know, or a good friend could open a bar. You know, that's what makes a city great.
And I love every single time he goes to a different like borough. He goes like, oh no, he goes to a different city. He's like, oh, you know, Azerbaijan is the New York of America. Like, what's the line that he does all the time? Where it's like.
I mean, I know what you mean. Where he says like Azerbaijan is the New York of whatever. Or
yeah, he goes like New York is the like Baku of America or something.
Yeah,
like that. Or, like New York is the it's awesome. He goes, New York's the Istanbul of America. Just like it gets more and more insane every time he does it.
I know, it's funny. I will miss him. I will say I will miss him. Sliwa, though, I have to be honest. I think his heart is in like the right place. Like he's like somebody who like actually literally cares about people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I really respect the whole Guardian of Angels thing. Like New York was a disaster when he started that up.
Yeah, right. It was super crime ridden, you know.
Yeah.
And
honestly, I mean, respect for that.
Yeah, and it's such a safe place. Like people are really overblowing that. I mean, it's like really one of the safest places you can be. Is in New York.
It has gotten a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like it's night and day from like the 1980s. Are you kidding?
Oh,
it's like that is a legitimately dicey place to like take a subway after like a certain hour, you know?
Yeah, I actually was just finishing off John Gantz's book what's the book called again? It's When the Clock Broke or something like that. And I'm just finishing off, and it's a good book. I hate him because he's very mean to me on Twitter, but he's a good writer. He's a good writer, good book. And he was describing how in the early 1990s, like there were literally like 2,000 murders a year in New York City, which is like mental. Like, yeah, right. I can't even imagine living in that. That's crazy.
No, it's crazy. And then, I mean, certain parts are just obviously going to always be safe, but it's like, it's insane how like it can't even become more gentrified than it already is. And like the interesting thing about this rent freezing versus like, I don't know the difference well enough between like what Mom Donnie is saying about freezing rent. Like, I don't know if that means across the entire city or if he's talking about bringing back rent stabilization, because that's been done successfully in New York, like throughout the decades. Like, and it was introduced originally by Republican Mayor Lindsay, and then it was extended under Rockefeller, who's also a Republican, in the 70s. And actually, the apartment I live in is like an old rent stabilized apartment, or else I wouldn't be able to live there. So I don't know if he's saying I don't know enough if he's saying that he literally wants to pass a law that would freeze rent everywhere, or if it's the old school thing of like create stabilization. You know,
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be all across the city, but I mean, interesting.
And I just don't know. I don't know that he can do that. You know.
Yeah. I've got a comment here. My city has like 4,000 murders a year. I was interested, so I just looked up the murder rate in Brisbane, which is my city, and it's like 10 a year. So I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine New York City in like the early 1990s. That's so mental. How many murders were there in New York City like last year? I'm interested. I'm looking. No clue. Now. Looking that up now. How many murders? Oh, only like 100. That's actually pretty. Oh, it's like 200.
That's too low.
Like,
we need to get the number up a little bit, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
We need some like murder rate, like respect, you know.
Yeah. No, that's actually so true. That's so true. You
have to have some murders, you know.
It teaches people responsibility.
Yeah, and safety and like street smarts, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, okay, before we go into one battle after another, tell us a little bit about yourself firstly. Give us a bit of like a bio. How you got into writing?
Okay, well, I've been writing my whole life, but I was a nobody, like in terms of like having a name or any publicity, until I met the secret muse of famous American novelist Cormac McCarthy. Actually, she discovered me. And I broke.
Yeah, how did that happen? That's crazy.
We met on Substack. So I was in the middle. I was like working this horrible full-time job that I didn't like, and I was like, I wanted to review Cormac's like last novel, and I started a Substack, and I wrote like this super long essay that took me so long because I was also in the middle of this like relationship that was falling apart. So I was like, I just like every free 5 minutes I had, I would work on it. I finally posted it on April Fool's Day. she commented on it on April Fool's Day with this really cryptic message, but it obviously was reflecting like such intimacy, private intimacy with Cormac. I'm like, this person is either like trolling me really hard, or it's like mentally ill and trolling me, or this is like absolutely true. And then we played cat and mouse for a while. Cormac passed away. I sent her an email offering my condolences, and then she said like, let's talk, and then she was like ready to tell her story. So then I went to Vanity Fair, and then it broke. It happened, and people hated me because I told it from her perspective, which is that for people that don't know, there's a really big age gap in their relationship.
Yeah.
They met in the late 70s. She was 16, he was 42. They ran away to Mexico when she was 17 and he was 43. But she was living in really crazy circumstances.
That's not that good.
No, I know, but she was living in really crazy circumstances, like in foster homes and like living on the streets, and like she credits him with like saving her life.
Damn. Okay, that's.
So after 47 years, it's very complicated and complex, but it's her story. She's 66 now. She's had 48 years to reflect on the story, and she's adamant. I mean, they were in each other's lives right up until he died.
Wow. So how long were they together for?
They like off the bat, they were together for about 3 years, and then she left him.
Wow.
And then
was
never
he a famous
really got
novelist
over it.
then?
No, he was out of print when they met. He was writing, but he was out of print. He was like always critically esteemed, but he had no publicity. He didn't want to do any book tours. He didn't want to do interviews. Yeah, he was like a real recluse. And he didn't have his real breakthrough until he wrote All the Pretty Horses, which is literally based off of their love story and their time in Mexico, running away to Mexico.
Right, that book's about that. So we've got a comment saying, who is that? We're talking about Cormac McCarthy right now. I've actually got my Cormac McCarthy section behind me.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I got Blood Meridian, No Country for Old Men, The Road. I love No Country for Old Men. That's like one of my favorites.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like a perfect novel. It's like it's so tight and quick and moves so quickly. It like is almost like a film script in a way.
Yeah, I first watched the movie when I was like 8 years old when it first came out, and I've since seen it like 6 or 7 times. It's probably like my favorite movie of all time.
It's incredible. That's how I got into Cormac. Like my father and I went to the movies like 3 times, 3 days in a row. We watched that movie.
Garda, that's so cool. That's awesome.
And then my dad decided to like read all of his books, and my dad always brought me up saying, you don't even waste your time reading like living authors. They all suck. They're all like a giant waste of time. And then I remember like after he started reading them, I came downstairs. After he started reading Cormac's books, I came downstairs one morning and he was like, Nick's my first name, by the way.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
And he's like, there's one author that you can read that's alive, and it's Cormac McCarthy. And you have to read it. That's
so cool. That's awesome that you had like a literary family. I've always been like the only one in my family who likes reading, unfortunately. But
I feel I'm very grateful for it. Like people accuse me of being a nepo baby. I'm not at all. I'm just like from like a super middle class family. But I do feel like I do feel like I'm the recipient of like intellectual nepotism or something. Like
no, that's cool. Was your dad like a professor or something like that?
He was a writer. Is a writer himself, and he was a journalist for a very long time. But
what's his name? I'll Google it.
His name is Doug Barney. I'm not sure back in the day, he used to be all over Google. He was like, he did a lot of reporting like Microsoft and stuff, and like debates with Bill Gates, and like people like, he was very controversial in his tech field.
Interesting. That's cool. I'm going to look that up. And so how old are you, by the way, man?
I'm 29.
Okay. So you're a couple years older than me. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And have you been like a writer full time for a couple years now?
I guess full time, but freelance full time. Full time, like pulling up by my bootstraps. But I have a couple good like projects on the horizon where I think the door is finally kind of open, and
it's actually such a it's such like a struggle to try and make it just like independently as a writer or even doing anything.
And like writing is I know it's really lonely, and I think that's why so many people go into MFAs, which I think is like a mistake, because they want to be in a community. Like if you're a musician, you're in a band, or you meet people and you play music with people. Like if you're a writer, first of all, you're suspicious of everybody else who's a writer, or like people are very envious and like catty. So it's a weird route to go down, and it's very lonely.
I don't even know if and I'm no expert on this, but I don't even know if necessarily MFAs are that productive, because like my thinking is this, right? I don't know if you can teach being a writer. I kind of feel like you just get it from reading.
No, you can't. You can't teach it.
Yeah.
It is from reading, and it is from writing yourself, you know?
Yeah. What do you think of that whole famous Stephen King thing where he says, like, if you want to be a writer, you've got to, like, read and write 5 hours a day, every day?
I mean, I don't know about that, but you do end up, I mean, you do have to do a lot of reading, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
I'm blown away when I meet writers in New York City who, like, don't read books. It's like, what? Okay.
That's mental. I mean, how do you even... I can't understand that at all. That's crazy.
It's such bullshit. And so
you actually meet people in New York City like that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, the majority of the population is just ridiculous, you know, personages at this stage
that's true.
in society, you know. But
damn, maybe I would go. Maybe I'd go well in New York City because it's a place filled with eccentrics. My brother actually lives in New York City.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, so I've actually got a tenuous connection. Like, whenever I always troll, like, whenever people go, "You're from Australia," and I go, "No, I'm actually living in New York City right now," as a troll. But I do have a tenuous connection in the sense that my brother literally does live there. So I have this tiny connection.
Yeah. Well, you should come visit soon and we'll hang out. I mean, there's like,
dude, I would love to. I really want to.
The thing about New York is that it's not just all like, there's a lot of sort of like open-minded people, you know, like there's certain like enclaves like of people that are like not super, you know, whatever, politically reactionary and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm interested. Are you sort of like, I see people, I remember I started following you because I saw people like attacking you and they were going like, Vincenzo's reactionary, he's right wing, blah, blah, blah. And like they were calling you like a Dime Square affiliated person or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are you affiliated in any way with Dime Square? Like what's the go there?
No, I've never stepped foot in the square. I mean, it's not a real place, you know. But I'm not affiliated. I mean, I know some of the people, I guess. But I wasn't living in New York at the time that like Dime Square like took off. And I'm very skeptical about it as like a movement. And I think it's a real like left-wing aberration. Like it's a lot of people very disaffected with the left, and they still think in sort of like leftist, postmodern, structural ways, but they lean right.
I saw your tweet on that. Explain that. That's interesting. I saw your tweet on that. Expand on it.
I mean, I'm like writing about it. It would, all right, I'll try and do it like quickly, but I think there's a certain subset of like the post-internet or just internet Twitter right wing that is actually super steeped in not maybe not consciously steeped, but grew up in an academic environment of like that sort of incoherent mix of like postmodernism and Marxism and like academic like liberalism and leftism. And these I think are still like the fundamentals that are like underlying them intellectually when they make points for like the right wing. Like I think this explains Curtis Yarvin. Like you look at Curtis Yarvin.
That's true, actually.
The oversized leather jacket, wearing the bicycle helmet in the classroom, the disdain for like the American founding, you know, and American first principles. It's like this is very leftist, actually. Like this sort of like there's a certain anti-Americanism within this subset, not the entire new right. Like I'm not talking about Nick Fuentes. I'm talking about like the Curtis Yarvin kind of sphere. There is sort of like an anti-America.
I think there is something in that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yarvin, he follows me on Twitter. We've talked very briefly before. It's interesting. Like, Yarvin, he certainly doesn't like the mainstream of American culture at all.
Yeah, which is sort of a left-wing, American left-wing.
Yeah, and like, it's not even just that he doesn't like the last 30 years. Like, because I see Tucker Carlson going like, I see Tucker Carlson saying, let's just go back to the 1980s. Yeah. But Yarvin doesn't even want that. Like, he literally wants to go back like centuries.
Yeah, let's go back to them. And I think he conflates. I have to say, I find him very interesting. So I mean, I'm not an opponent of Curtis Yarvin by any means. I find him interesting and stimulating. But he, I think, makes a mistake that also is a mistake that was ushered in by the left, like maybe early 20th century, mid 20th century academic left, which is to conflate the French Revolution and the sort of Enlightenment / counter-Enlightenment continental philosophy of Europe at that time with the American Revolution. And they happen in concert, but they're two distinct revolutions.
That's true.
And I think that Yarvin's critique of American liberalism it's a legitimate critique of a conflation, but he's making the same conflation. So he's critiquing like this sort of like the way the left thinks of itself as like maybe like the John like and not
as
even
having inherited the French Revolution.
Yeah, and like the type of leftist who it doesn't even really exist anymore, who's like I also like go back to John Brown, and John Brown's an American. It's like if anybody likes John Brown, who's like an American leftist, they don't really like the founding. They don't like the American founding.
Yeah,
because the principles are so discrete and simple, and it's not a philosophy that you can keep expanding on, like the way like a continental philosophy is sort of like endless abstraction upon abstraction. It's like the American Revolution and the philosophy behind it is like it's like set in stone. It's like it's not really alterable.
The Brown thing is really funny because I have noticed that, like, especially since Trump was elected, this is probably more something that we see in Britain and Australia, but like there's kind of like an effort by progressives to kind of like repackage themselves as patriots. And like I get this all the time. I have debates with people, and there's this guy called Pisco, for example, who has like, he's not that huge. I guess he gets like a couple thousand live viewers a day. He's like a sort of like moderately large progressive streamer. And the way he frames it is like, if you don't oppose Trump, you're like, he basically says like, you have to oppose Trump if you're pro-America, and the real patriots are the ones who oppose Trump. And like real patriotism is just ascribing all liberal values essentially. And it's a bit silly because he's like, he then has to say that like Zoran Mamdani is like a greater American patriot than Trump. And it's like, but Zoran Mamdani doesn't even think of himself as like an American patriot. Like Zoran very consciously sort of like identifies as kind of like an internationalist, I think.
Yeah. Yes. And I think he's probably part of this sort of like international leftism that maybe you're seeing in Australia, and that's in England as well.
I don't know, because Zoran's never framed himself as like an American patriot, and he doesn't think of himself in that way.
No, and I think this is. Did you read my? Did I send you that Gore Vidal piece that I wrote?
Oh yes. It was a while ago. Recap the argument for us.
I think this is what happens when people are like, when they're like, you to be a patriot is to oppose Trump, but then their solution ends up just being supporting the Democratic Party. Yeah, and that's just such a fallacy. You're like, that's just a self-refutation. Like I think what my analysis of American history is that we've had sort of, since time immemorial, we've had like two wings of the same party basically, and that is the party of sort of like protecting like the administrators of the state, and there's a false thing that's happened where people try to make the argument that America was founded on egalitarianism. It's like egalitarianism has nothing to do with the American Revolution.
It's pretty obvious.
It was a real strict hierarchy there.
Yeah, they still had slavery at the time.
Yeah, and you could only vote if you were, white and owned property and were a man. Yeah. So it's like there's not egalitarianism. It's not like everybody is just off the bat equal.
Obviously, this is the contradiction at the very heart of it, because people go, from the very start, it was an egalitarian project, but then how do you reconcile that with this extreme inequality, the racism, etc.? That was
actually, I think I see this argument more on the right, trying to argue against the left, but they're sort of arguing against a phantom on the left that doesn't even exist anymore. So like people say like they're against egalitarianism, and it's like, no, the left has turned in the last 15 years into its own political hierarchy, which is the identity politic hierarchy. So it's not even arguing for egalitarianism in a way. Like sometimes they make the argument to bolster the identity politic discourse, but it's not egalitarianism. And
I think that's true.
Yeah, and the point I was trying to make was, this is Gore Vidal's analysis, is that we've always had two wings of the same party. They basically want to protect the administrators of the state, the property moneyed class, and they only give enough consolation or appeasement to their reactionary fringes to make people think that they really are participating in a democracy, but they really are not. Then it's at the end of World War II when America becomes an actual official empire and creates a CIA in 1947, where we have like this actually illegal fourth branch of government, shadow government behind the scenes with the CIA. We lose this, and the two parties are supplanted by this shadow government with like secret 12-figure budgets that assassinate JFK and other presidents and stuff.
Actually, that's interesting. So you think JFK was assassinated by like the CIA?
Yeah, I think it was in concert with certain groups in the intelligence agency.
Interesting.
And I think that's really pretty clear, not even conspiratorial anymore. I don't know, but Then what happens is Trump.
It's certainly it's a mainstream view now in America.
Yeah, but I think there's enough facts behind it. Like there's enough like actual reporting and documentation behind it. But then what happens is in 2016, two populist candidates emerge: Trump on the right wing and Bernie Sanders on the left. And they're both organically popular, and both the DNC and the RNC both try and squash them and prevent them from winning because they want to put in their clone candidate. Like I can remember watching the first primary debates in 2015. I threw a party like in high school. I'm like,
that was my actual introduction to politics. I was
really?
I was like 15, and I was like obsessively watching Bernie Sanders, and like I watched every debate, and I'd sit at the back of the classroom, not pay attention to class, and just follow literally the primaries.
It's so funny. Well, it was such a screw job because 2016 was like Hillary's coronation. Like nobody was allowed to run against her, and then Bernie ran because he's like barely even a Democrat, and the DNC did everything they could to torpedo his election. You know, his chances, and they colluded with Clinton. They gave her all the questions ahead of time at debates, all this stuff. Then 2020 they do it. 2016 though, Trump wins. He organically beats out the RNC, like the corporate state apparatus. Like his populism actually succeeds, and that means he's now in friction with this fourth branch of government, which used to be the progressive issue. It's called the national security state. Now it's called the deep state, and the left pretends it doesn't exist. But it used to be like Gore Vidal's position as like a progressive. Noam Chomsky, all these people, they were always talking about the CIA, FBI as a national security state and running everything. Trump is in conflict with it. Bernie gets torpedoed, and because Trump is in a legitimate political struggle with a fourth branch of government, but also has the personality, like the closest personality we've ever had in America to an actual dictator or person who would want to actually be in power for life. It tricks people on the left who've always been against the DNC to think that they're like now the Democratic Party somehow is like a savior, you know, or a legitimate cause. It gave this false legitimacy to the DNC and to Democrats. It tricked like socialists and stuff into saying like, yeah, Hillary, you know.
That's interesting. That's so interesting. I've had such a like long tortured like trajectory because like my initial reaction to Bernie losing was like to like actually become like a moderate, and I like started like I thought like the only way we could ever win is by being moderate, and then I was like a moderate for so long. And then it's just like the past year, I think in particular, like basically broke me where like, I just was like, these people like, you know, Zoran Mamdani and stuff like that. If that's the future of the Democrats and stuff, like, I don't think I could ever identify with that. I mean, I'm not even American, but obviously I follow it very closely.
You're honorary New Yorker.
Yeah, of course. Like literally. But I think that's what probably killed me. Like, and also just like being like personally experiencing crime and stuff. And like, I think as well, just watching the disaster that is like migration in Europe and stuff like that. And I think like nobody can kind of deny that it's not working. Like, you know, you've got pretty hardline Islamist extremists in Europe and Britain and stuff like that. And I just don't understand why so many people on the left kind of like want to coddle that. I think like all this stuff over the past 2 years with post October 7, like really like messed with me.
Yeah. Well, I think submission, you know, I know you like that book, but it's becoming,
that's a great book.
It's looking more and more prescient, you know, all the time.
You know what's interesting? Like people, like the very superficial read of the book is that it's like racist because it's like basically saying that like, oh, Muslims are taking over. But honestly, Houellebecq just uses that as like a framing device to explore the fact that like Westerners just have lost complete faith in existence. Like they just don't even want to live anymore. Like people hate their culture, they hate themselves. I think that's the thing that I hate so much. It's like the civilizational self-hatred. That's what
I hate that too. Like that's why I'm sort of getting back on like the American founding revolution bandwagon. It's like I fucking love my country. Actually, I love the first principles of America, and it's like go fuck yourself if you don't get it and you misrepresent it and you don't want to understand it. It's beautiful. We exist because of it. Okay, so
that's it, dude. Like I don't understand this whole thing. Especially you get like people on the left who do the whole stolen land thing. There was like a big Zoran candidate. Oh, there's like a big Zoran supporter the other day who posted a photo voting for Zoran, and then they had in their bio or something like that. It was like from the US to Palestine, smash the colonial settler state. It's like, but by doing that, you're basically saying you wish you had never been born because you were born into this, right? Like,
yeah, there is a nihilism. there's a masochism and a nihilism associated with it.
Yeah.
Like the writings of Christopher Hitchens are really important to me because I think like his falling out with the left, it was less of him falling out than like the left actually changing, and like 9/11 becoming a real watershed moment where like mainstream left, like fringe left, and then mainstream being influenced by the fringe changed. Absolutely, you know. And there is this masochism. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry to cut you off, but I thought this was interesting. Like, you know, the sort of current that Christopher Hitchens was arguing against that really pissed him off and changed him. He was arguing against those leftists who their first response to 9/11 was to say shit like, "Oh, well, America is an evil empire, and this is what's come back to it," and stuff like that. And what's interesting is like that is literally the milieu that Zoran Tech comes from. That's like literally what his dad, who was a famous professor, still a famous professor academic. Like, there's all these videos of him, Mahmoud Mamdani, going like, there is no moral equivalent. There's basically no moral distinction between 9/11 and the war in Iraq. There's no moral. He literally says there's no moral distinction between like Al Qaeda and Bush, and that's I think what Christopher Hitchens was arguing. It's like it's that nihilism on the left.
Well, it's this thing of like moral relativism and moral equivocation. So it's like, okay, America is an empire, has done fucked up things, but so thousands of people of private citizens in a building in Manhattan deserve to have a plane flown into it, and this is
it's so crazy.
We're supposed to go, oh yeah, it's a real shame, but you know we were asking for it. That's not a real position or a real argument. You know,
that's it. It's not a real position. I think they adopt it as like a provocation sort of thing, and they do it with this sort of like edgy smirk. And when I shared the video the other day of like Mahmoud Mamdani talking about this, and when he said, actually, let me play it. It's such a good video that I really want to quickly play it on the screen. Like, sorry, I don't want the whole thing to devolve into just like me ranting about Zoran, and we will talk about one country.
No, but but I think it's also a good setup to one battle after another.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So look at the smirk that he has on his face when he says it, right?
It's about shock and awe.
So he goes, it's about shock and awe. Okay.
It's about shock and awe.
Like, look at the smirk there. He's
expecting awe from the audience.
Whether it's 9/11 or Iraq, you could use that phrase.
Yeah, look at that. It's that like, it's so obvious that they're trying to be edgy. That's what I think is so annoying about it. Like, it's not even a real position. It's not even intellectually respectable. It's just like, here's this thing that traumatized everybody in my city, and I can show how, you know, edgy I am by saying, you know, is it the same as Iraq? That's what I think it is. And it pisses me off so much.
I think it all, like, Hitchens is a great, actually, like, if you read him and you read his writings about all these things and you just analyze him, he's a great historian of how the left changed, because I think it all begins with like Salman Rushdie with the fatwa. People were literally like, he knew white people like John Berger.
Yes.
Salman Rushdie is an Indian. He grew up in like a Muslim family, secular or whatever, but not a practicing Muslim. He writes this book, and you have people like John Berger and John le Carré, you know, being like, he knew what he was doing. He was asking for it.
That's so evil.
It's disgusting, you know, and it's like, and like drawing this moral equivocation of like, you can't insult this religion and expect that they're not going to be upset. It's like, oh, really? Because they're killing translators of the book. They want to kill him.
They did that in Japan. They killed the Japanese translator.
Yeah, and they did it in one or two countries in Europe, killing the translators and people who like worked in the offices. And
crazy.
And it was disgusting. It was like the first time like people like this self-hatred or this weird self-hatred thing had really broken through on the left. I think they described. I think it was either Rushdie or Hitchens described it as like the first black bird flying across the sky, like the precursor to 9/11 and the reaction to 9/11.
That's so interesting. On the left. I think the seeds for it definitely go back to that, and it's just crazy because here was this guy who's not even a white guy; he's like an Indian Muslim himself, he's secular, and like this
and an atheist. He is an atheist, literally. Actually.
Yeah.
Doesn't like Islam,
Yeah, but he my understanding as well is it wasn't even like gratuitous offense or whatever.
No,
it was like the book is like a work of it's a literary book. It's not like it was some like Tommy Robinson type thing where he's like, you know that girl. Provocative. You know that girl Veronica Rodriguez, that crazy. She's that MAGA girl who like literally she films herself like burning the Quran and stuff like that. That's not what Salman Rushdie was doing at all. He literally wrote like a work of like high literature that wasn't even like an attack on Islam or anything, and they wanted to kill him over it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the people who wanted to kill him didn't even read the book. There was a great like they literally didn't read the book. They couldn't point to where it was or whatever. And there's a really great documentary called Satanic Verses 29 Years On or something. It was made by this guy in England who's from a Muslim family. And he went back and he interviewed all like the imams at like the head of these protests and people that were like publicly vocal against Rushdie. And he wants to see if people's attitudes have changed. And they haven't really. Like that's like the really and this is like a leftist, like a left wing like Muslim filmmaker who's like interviewing these people and like they're literally ripping the pages out of the book as he's talking to them, or he's talking to one in the street and then he's talking to somebody else and the same guy comes back like 5 minutes later and rips the book out of the guy's hand and is screaming and unhinged. And it's like it is a dangerous mentality to react this way to a work of art.
It is so evil. It's just so sick. I can't believe to this day that there were people on the left who made excuses for it. And then
it's crazy.
And it's crazy because I think I actually followed a similar trajectory to Hitchens, because I think if I had been around when 9/11 happened, I probably would have reacted the exact same way that he did, considering how I'd reacted to October 7th.
Yeah, right. And I mean, like I got emotional when I watched the news footage. When I saw it when it broke, when Rushdie was actually stabbed a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't like cry easy, but I got emotional watching that because it's like
they actually ended up stabbing him. They ended up stabbing him.
He lost his eye. He was like a millimeter away from it hitting his jugular. He was stabbed like over 20 times, like over the course of like 90 seconds, because he was giving this talk to like a very sparsely populated auditorium in upstate New York with like elderly people. Like it's like a retiree sort of community. So like people are trying to get on the stage, but they're like older folks, And he writes about it in his memoir. He thought he was safe. It had been years that he thought he was safe. And as soon as he saw the guy rushing the stage, he had this moment in his mind where he says, "Oh, it's you." Like there's been a part of him that's actually been waiting and anticipating this moment for decades, and it's actually happening now. And it's it's brutal, it's so brutal. And I have a lot of friends who are Muslim. I've spent time in Palestine.
Yeah.
And I love these people, but there's a difference between that and
the extremism, obviously.
Yeah, it's just, and it's so sad because you kind of can't talk with nuance to anybody about it. Most people you can't.
Well, that's the frustrating thing. I feel like people like Zoran, they make it so difficult to talk about it, because I feel like Zoran, like this is going to be controversial, obviously, but I feel like Zoran weaponizes it, like any criticism whatsoever, to the point that you can't talk about Islamic extremism, and like by bringing up stuff like Islamophobia. I feel like the way that people like Zoran weaponize it makes it impossible almost to talk about it.
Well, I think it's sort of impossible to talk about anything anymore
in
America
true.
politically, because
Yeah.
You can't. I think the parties have just evolved into these reactionary inversions of each other. So like if you say one thing, they're going to go in the complete 180-degree opposite angle. Like all of a sudden like in the Biden administration, it just became, well, we're just doing open borders and that's like liberalism. It's like, I don't remember that ever being.
Where did that come from?
Anybody campaigned on, where did that come from? And if you were like, well, we should have like some like processing, it's like, no, oh, you're racist. And it's like, no, that's how, like, even Bernie Sanders just was on the Tim Dillon podcast of like last week, and he said like, he's like, if you don't have borders, you don't have a nation. And he goes, actually, Trump is doing a better job on the border than Biden. Like Biden did a terrible job. And it's like, that is true. And you can be Bernie Sanders and be a democratic socialist and say that. But like in America, it's this wave of conformity. So all of a sudden, it's like the DNC, like a corrupt political party, just as corrupt as the RNC. That's just by the nature of it. They're both corrupt. It makes a decision, and then the fringes also react. So they're not even legitimately like a fringe on like the left. It's like you're not even far left. You are just like hardcore establishment Democrat. It's on both. It's on both sides. There is no like intellectual fringe really anymore. I feel like.
It's very sad how it's become. It's like just the debate in America is so toxic. There's a really funny meme that I like. I'll try get it up if I can find it. Where it was made by that Druckber Cunley account, and he basically says like, this is what politics will be like in America in 2050, and it's like the left wing is just like Bukele, no, like the right wing is Bukele, and then the left wing is just like Luigi Mangione, and it's like that's not good. Like that's bad. Like I wish it could go back to like more genteel kind of thing, but.
This was what was so weird, though. I know we got to talk about the movie, right? But
yeah, we'll go into the movie very soon.
Okay, but this was what was so weird with like the Charlie Kirk murder because and people on the left have really been in denial about it, but people were really blasé or celebrating it or like meh when it happened.
Oh, I hated that so much. And that was another huge thing for me that pushed me away.
Yeah, and it's like it's like on like the left is supposed to be against gun violence, against violence in general, it's supposed to be gentle, and it's like, but you actually the left will tolerate and even support violence if they want to, like if it behooves them in some way ideologically, and it's like
it's such a shame.
It's just it's so really sad. That really set me over the edge. I mean, it didn't really change the way I feel about anything, but it was a really frustrating moment where people were also then immediately in denial about it.
Yeah, that was a huge moment for me, just because like I do come from a conservative background. Even when I was progressive, like my family were conservative, and you still love your parents even if they've got different views to you.
Yeah,
and like my mum wouldn't have agreed with Charlie Kirk on everything. Like she thinks that American gun laws are crazy and all that stuff because we are Australian and everything. But like she just like in general would have liked Charlie Kirk because he's just like in general a kind of like conservative figure. And I said this to somebody in a debate after. I said like he was probably in the top 5 most famous kind of like right-wing sort of media figures in America. It's like almost the equivalent of somebody hurting AOC or something like that.
Yeah, right.
That's the level I think it was. I think that's the level it's on. And like just to see that in such, graphic detail, the murder, and then the fact that I've got conservative family members and all these people come out celebrating it, like how could I not interpret that as that like how can I not interpret it as all the people who celebrate it would want the same thing for the conservative people that I love?
Right.
And so it makes it very existential.
No, it's true. And actually this does tie in really well with the movie because like we started to see this with like Luigi Mangione. It's like not only was he like accepted, embraced by like people on the left, but he was embraced libidinally. Like he was embraced by like the loins of the left. Like everybody wanted to sleep with him. They were attracted to him. It's like this guy just shot a guy in the back in cold blood and then ran away and was an idiot and like just it was taking his mask off to flirt with some girl and he's like literally mentally ill, And it's like this is like your hero. This is like you're like Billy the Kid. It's like this is how far have we fallen, as a country. And it's like I'm against like the fucking pharmaceutical companies are crazy here in America.
I've like the healthcare system in America sucks. I support universal public healthcare. I'm Australian. We have it. It's good. Like
right. I do too. And this is what's also really funny is like in Europe, like even like parties like the AFD or whatever, economically they're far further to the left than anything we have in America. They just want to do whatever it is, remigration, stuff like that. But their platforms are still upholding like welfare state. We don't even have anything close to really a real welfare state in America.
Yeah, that's so funny. Hey, I mean, because my stance is, I guess, like quite socially conservative, but on economic stuff, I support public healthcare. I support all these things that would put me firmly to the left of like even within the Democratic Party.
Yeah, this is a huge gulf between America and the rest of the Western world.
Yeah.
And
I think I reckon there would be actually a big appetite for that in America if you had like if Trump I know this would never happen, but if Trump somehow like supported universal public healthcare, like he would just he'd kill it. Like,
he could do it. Like it actually, maybe he's the only way that it could actually successfully be done because he's so popular.
And I have no illusions that it will never happen. But if somebody like him supported it, it would actually end up being really popular, I reckon.
Yeah, right. That would be funny. I mean, I had a tweet the other day. I'm like, I think the left could really throw a monkey wrench into things if they got really aggressive about like taking away any laws against public smoking. Like if they're all of a sudden like you can smoke in a restaurant or a bar again, I think people will be like, fuck, I might have to vote for them.
Damn, dude, in Australia it's even stricter. Like it's completely banned on my university campus, and they tax tobacco really, really highly. So it's like the equivalent of like $50 for it'd be the equivalent of like $30 USD for a pack.
Oh my God,
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay, I reckon we should go into the movie.
Okay, all right, okay.
But look, I think this does segue pretty well into it.
Yeah.
What do you think of the take that this film isn't really about politics, just like how TWBB isn't really about There Will Be Blood isn't really about oil prospecting. It's just PTA's stage to make grand claims about human. I don't know about that. You should start.
Well, I think if one battle after another is his grand stage to make claims about human nature, then he has really depressing, middling ideas about human nature. You know,
what's even the claim about human nature in the film? Like the left wingers are terrorists, and then the right wingers are all like fucking evil Nazis. Like what's the grand claim here? I don't know.
Well, but it actually is possible that in his mind, he could be making a film about what he thinks is about human nature, actually. And like, if he thinks human nature is inseparable from politics, then maybe there's an argument here in favor of that question, which would be really depressing.
That is. Let me get up my post about one. Let me get that up, and then we can jump into it. One battle after another. I did like a short review. I'm going to do a proper Substack one soon, but I just did a short one for now. And I'll just like quickly put in my thoughts, and then we can discuss. Okay. So, I thought it had all the hallmarks of a brilliant film: stunning visuals, beautiful cinematography, great performances. I thought Leo's character was cool. Cinematography is just so gorgeous. Like, it is actually beautifully shot. But then it's just a shame that like the plot is just kind of like, I think, making excuses for like Weathermen underground terrorism.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very ironic that the first 5 minutes of the movie is a violent communist raid against an ICE facility, which culminates with the black communist terrorist sexually humiliating an ICE agent, forcing him to jerk himself off at gunpoint. And then later in the film, she sodomizes and pegs him against the wall. So like, I thought it was a bit on the nose a bit. I don't know. Let's go into it.
Well, so I like what you had to say about that, because I have like a bipolar take on this movie, because there's some, if you take it just as a movie and take away whatever its political message is, it's actually a good movie. Like, there's great moments to it.
That.
It's funny. Like, even when there were jokes at the expense of things I didn't agree with, like, I laughed because it was actually done well. But and like, even like the scene where she's like makes him get an erection, it's like, okay, that is kind of crazy and wild. It's actually kind of maybe interesting, but then it's like, it goes too far. And like, it
becomes gratuitous. It becomes gratuitous.
Yeah, it becomes like a political cartoon, and it's like really literally just between like good and evil. And what's interesting about the novel that it's based on is it doesn't take that approach really at all. Like, there is sort of like a good versus evil side. I should say, for people who don't know, the One Battle After Another is based on a novel by Thomas Pynchon called Vineland. One Battle After Another takes place in some sort of alternative present where like ICE is like a police military or whatever. Vineland takes place in 1984 after like the actual historical counterculture movement, and a non-violent one has ended. Like, it's not about weather underground people. It's not about like violent, left-wing terrorism. And
it is actually novel really different to Vineland. It's almost so like completely different. When people say that it's based on Vineland, I actually kind of don't even understand it really. Like, it's very loose. It's very loose.
It's super loose. Like what is an intimate adaptation is like the family aspect, you know, like Leo's character is based off a character in Vineland, has a daughter, Perfidia Beverly Hills, which is just a terrible name. It's somebody who's trying to be Pynchon so hard and failing at it.
Why doesn't he just use the actual characters from the novel? Who even knows that?
I don't know. And it's he's trying to be Pynchon in this.
He actually rewrites it. I don't understand what the point of saying it's based on Vineland is if he completely rewrites it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super loose. So Vineland takes place in 1984 in the midst of Reagan in Northern California, where like the hippies have fled and like they have failed, and it is a legitimate critique not only of state power growing as like a historical force, but also how like why the counterculture failed. And in the book, the Perfidia character, her name is Frenessy, and she legitimately falls for the lockjaw character, whose name is Brock Vond, who's a much more interesting character, and actually has like has like a psychological portrait in the novel.
Because there's no psychological. There's literally no. That's one of the things that pissed me off or made me annoyed. there's literally no room for any gray at all in the film at all. Like it's just Lockjaw is such a caricature. And he's a funny caricature. He's a funny caricature, but like, what's the point of making it such a caricature? I don't even get
it. Like making him a caricature makes it more funny. You can make it be more funny, but then it's like to the point where like I'm watching the film and I'm like, the Lockjaw character doesn't even think for a second about saving his daughter, for instance.
Yeah,
you know, it's like he's such a one-dimensional flat character, and he's played very brilliantly. Like that's the weird thing about the film. It's like acted so brilliantly.
Amazing character performance.
You know?
Yeah, like that's what I was saying before. Like the actual movie, the mechanics of the film are amazing. Like if it didn't have a retarded plot, it would be it would go down in history. I think it's like a classic film.
Yeah, right.
But it's just like that Sean Penn character, like Lockjaw. It is played so well, but it is just such a retarded caricature. Compare it to like, I don't know, another great villain in, American cinema, Cormac McCarthy's No Country for Old Men, and Anton Chigurh. Like Chigurh is so much more interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Like, there's not even that much psychological depth to Chigurh, but it is nevertheless so much more fascinating.
But he also manages to have funny moments at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, calling people friendo, or like little faces he makes. Like after like that really intense coin discussion, he raises his eyebrows and grabs like the peanuts or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, it's actually kind of a funny moment. But you don't understand him and you're trying to. So like it makes you, it's more of an active film because it makes you have to think about it. One battle after another is like, here it is. It's good versus evil.
Yes.
And it's exactly what you would predict from like a middle-aged, white, soft, left-wing Hollywood dude.
Yes.
It's exactly what you would think for what his paranoid wet dream is.
It's so predictable.
Yeah. And it's like, that's not works of art and genius are not supposed to be predictable. But this movie is predictable. But it's constructed in a way, like the structure is not predictable. Like the way, like the cinematic qualities of it that you say, like that we both like. Those are done with like real talent, you know?
Here's another good example, right? Houellebecq's Submission. And a retarded person could read Submission by Houellebecq and say, oh, this is a polemic against Islam. But it really isn't, because there's actually gray to it. Like the gray to that book that takes it away from just being a polemic is that he's criticizing Westerners for just giving up on life. He's basically saying that like that Western culture has just given up. And he even says that there's an admirable vigor to Islamic culture. They still like life. Like that's an element to that novel, right? Where he's willing to even say there's something admirable to like an Islamic takeover in the sense that they actually still have a bit of civilizational vigor to them. Where there's literally nothing admirable whatsoever in the sort of ice evil characters in this film at all. It's just literally, they are literally just like the whole what's the Christmas Adventurers?
Oh yeah.
Their secret society. There's not a single redeemable feature whatsoever. It's just they are just pure evil.
Right.
And so it's actually so disappointing, because if there was some moral gray, if there was something a little bit more complex, again, it could have been such an amazing film. It's so disappointing that they
No, and this is part of the problem. It's like this is how the left. Well, I mean, like both. I don't mean to. I mean, the left and the right, I think both are just different sides of the same coin. Like this is part of the problem, is that they're on just opposite sides of like the same problem. So like they're both equally sort of like at fault for where we're at. But it's like this film in itself is literally just like, it is just a reactionary like leftist vision of things, where it's like, this is the problem is that you just do see the other side as like one dimensional. So it's like
just 3 hours of like ice bad.
Yeah, and it's like what I do like is I kind of like how because I'm watching it going, this makes no sense. Like ICE can't just go into towns and like rip doors off. It's like, well, actually no, this is sort of like being floated as like Trump's use of National Guard. It's like this is in on one hand, it's like an interesting critique of like a police state or something. It's something that's being flooded. That in that sense, it's contemporary. But then like it's this vision of like open borders is like it's incoherent ideologically. And it's like, if you don't believe in just like open borders no matter what, then you suck and you're horrible. And it's like,
you know what's really funny? There was this really viral tweet that got like 5 million views and it got hundreds of thousands of likes. And it was like a leftist tweet. And it was like they posted the scene where Leo's character is trying to look for his daughter and he passes like these like Hispanic farm workers and he screams out to them in Spanish. And then he like does like a little whistle to them. And someone was like, this is an amazing moment because it shows like the film's subtle ways of rejecting white supremacy. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, he's just talking in Spanish. Like, it's
inventing. It's just inventing projections, you know.
I just like, what the fuck? Like, just he screams in Spanish, and therefore, it's saying white supremacy is bad. I don't even get it. Like, it is so.
No, it's incoherent. I saw one critique of it that was like, this makes like black women look bad because Perfidia is not given like enough screen time. It's like, well, what do you? It's just the movie. It's what it is. And also, like, the hero of the movie really is like the daughter, who's a black young woman.
Yeah,
like,
true.
You know, so it's like this is like it's just these incoherent takes that are just they're trying to find some space that nobody's gone to yet, and nobody's gone to it yet because it doesn't make any sense. So they just invent it. You know.
I mean, it is true that, I mean, even the supposed heroines are pretty undeveloped as characters. Like, for example, Perfidia doesn't really even go into why she betrays all her comrades. Not even really that much, to be honest.
Right.
It's just, she just does it.
Well, like, she does it to save her own skin, and it's but there's coercion.
No kind of moral. I mean, we see that it's coercion, but it doesn't explore that at all morally.
Really. No, exactly. So this is why so Vineland is so superior, because the choice to the character, the Finessi Perfidia character, legitimately is seduced by the fascist state, you know, cop or whatever, whose name is Brock Vond in the film. She's legitimately seduced, like falls in love with him, and the betrayal is through this. So it's like it becomes a much more interesting psychological portrait of like a counterculture, first of all, that you could be like so far left but fall for a far right person. And then also it's like it puts the moral onus on her shoulders. It's not like that she was coerced into it like Perfidia is. It's like this is she naturally fell for this person organically. It raises way more questions. It's way more morally complex. It raises more questions in this film. This film is just like the bad guy fucks over everybody and forces her to, you know, she coerces her, you know.
It really is so disappointing. And it's just so funny because if you look at I'm looking at the, like the Rotten Tomato score is like 95%. And it's like, it's had all these like amazing reviews and people saying this is like instant classic and stuff. But like, I think that's just so deluded.
Yeah, completely.
It's interesting. Like, why? Okay, let's go into that. Like, why do you think like the critical reaction is so different to like, I don't know, like audience reactions? Or
because this is like this is tailored to everything that like the mainstream media or the left-wing mainstream media has been. It's like this is like the creative fever dream of CNN.
Yes.
You know, so like 100%. Of course, and it's like, and this is where I get so frustrated with like the left, where it's like the left used to fucking hate CNN and know that this is like manufacturing consent. Like if you like were an old school Chomsky and you'd be like, I'm not, you know, fuck this narrative. Of course I'm being spoon fed something that's like coercive in itself. And it's like this film is just like a creative work coming out of like a media that in itself is already coercive, that we've known since the 60s and 70s. Like people have such amnesia and they really do go just for like these super superficial films and takes and narratives. That's what this is. That's why they love it. That's why like there's no chance a critic is going to hate this movie from like
literally
from these outlets. There's no chance.
Literally no chance. It's so interesting. Like look at the letterbox, right? And you go to like the top comments. I'll zoom in so people can see it. Like this is just so annoying. Like someone goes, if this gets 41,000 likes, if the president sees this, he will either ban movies or kill himself. It's like, but it's not actually, it actually isn't a threat to Trumpism whatsoever because it is such a caricature. There's literally no coherent intellectual ideological assault on Trumpism here. It's just a tantrum. It's like a baby tantrum. That's what I think it is.
It is. I think the only thing I would say.
Read the exact next question. He's making modern fascists and white nationalists look like the dumbest pieces of shit for 2.5 hours. Like, Exactly. Like, so you think that's going to represent this massive ideological like break for Trumpism? It's like not at all.
I
It's
know.
just it's
this move
polemic.
this move towards the police state that Trump is furthering right now is done by both sides incrementally. So it's like there is an argument where you can say, okay, it's an interesting critique of military police because it's taking place in some sort of alternative universe where like ICE is part of the military or something. Like, I mean, actually, they even use like these acronyms. You'll see it on the jackets of these people where it's like it's an acronym for some fake government agency that doesn't really exist. It's not the FBI. It's not.
It's
ICE,
so obviously ICE though.
But it is obviously ICE, and it's like, okay, that's an interesting critique to make, but it's like that is something that that like the American death spiral is like hurtling towards, like in lockstep, the left and the right. Like Trump is sort of testing the bounds right now of how far you can like push that. Like Stephen Miller was on Fox saying he was addressing like ICE agents and National Guard, saying like, you have the federal government on your side, so you can do whatever you want, and if anybody obstructs you, like that's a felony. And so he like Stephen Miller sort of is like this. He's more sort of proto-fascist than Trump is, like legitimately kind of floats things out there to see how far he can push state power.
I think like if the film was serious though, you know how we're talking about how it's kind of like a double-edged coin. The left also is complicit in this process. Like the actions of like left-wing terrorism that we see in the film, like if the film was serious, that would be part of the whole process that leads to this police state forming, because there is like in the film there's an explicit communist terrorist group that is just killing people for no reason.
Right. Also, it makes no sense because they take over with impunity. Like they're like just these people like on falling down past their nose who like somehow take over a military facility like overnight. Makes no sense.
Yeah, it like that part of it is really juvenile because like again, like the ICE agents are just all portrayed as like dundering idiots. But the other thing as well is like if the film wanted to actually make it morally complex and interesting, it would have investigated like the way that like the left-wing terrorism and radicalism created this process of right-wing radicalization in reverse as well. Like because these things happen in conjunction to each other. They don't just come out of a vacuum.
They do, and they reify each other, and they give license to each other. So like for instance, like the murder of Charlie Kirk, it's like that like reified like the Christian nationalist right and gave them license to say like, okay, well now we are, I don't know, like they never ended up really sort of doing the things that people were afraid they were going to do, or that some people legitimately were like wanting them to do. But these acts that people think are like in reaction and in resistance end up just strengthening the other side. And then this is the problem that we're in. We're in this reactionary death spiral.
Yes. Because everybody is like focused on like so the right is like let's own the libs, and then the left is like let's own the right, and everybody just creates this super toxic, poisonous kind of like death spiral.
Yeah, right.
I see this in Britain right now where it's like the response to like reform like growing in strength is like there are now Muslim paramilitary gangs in the streets and they're chanting Allahu Akbar. It's like, but do you think that's a smart idea? Do you think that's really going to you know, like obviously that just hardens attitudes. The Charlie Kirk thing is a really good example because you saw a lot of like the sort of far right figures, like people like Sam Hyde, who are like they're like multiple standard deviations to the right of me. And Sam Hyde, his response to the Charlie Kirk thing was seize power, do it right now.
Yeah.
And it's like that was like an actual current of thought. It's a horrible, scary thing. It's in response to something though. Like it's not that like Sam Hyde didn't just like wake up that day and just say like let's have a dictatorship. It's like he was responding in direct to a very provocative left-wing political murder.
But then there are some people on the right, like on Twitter, who like want military dictatorships, and they're European.
That's true. That is true.
They want it in America, and they're European, which is like sort of incoherent. But
there are people like this. Yeah,
that was a weird moment, like because it is true. Like the left has gone way overboard, like saying like anybody's right wing is a fascist. But then it's like, what do you do with the people who literally are like, no, I am a fascist?
Well, Fuentes, like people like Fuentes are like legitimately, like they're
like Fuentes is like, I am racist, So it's like you're not going overboard when you're calling Fuentes racist. Like he is racist, and he's Mexican, so it's like even more weird or complicated.
It is very strange, like a very strange process.
I thought the Kirk thing sort of like it sort of dropped people's masks, because there were some people that all of a sudden who'd been like arguing for like military dictatorship or sort of like flirting with fascism, were all of a sudden like, we need free speech. You can't crack down on the internet, because like the right wing was like, JD Vance is like, we have to go after this stuff, and it's like, then all of a sudden people on the right were like, no, you can't touch Twitter. We need free speech, but we also need a military dictatorship, because those things go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Military dictatorships and free speech,
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden these people, it's like, oh, you are totally incoherent. You actually.
It is incoherent. It is very incoherent. That is a big problem right now, where there's just all these amorphous, incoherent sorts of ideas coalescing both on the far right and on the far left. Like the far left, I don't think the far left, like a lot of them haven't crystallized it as clearly as this, but there is certainly a tendency, as we were talking about before, which is just kind of like open, like just the vibes are basically like open borders based on vibes sort of thing. And and like sort of like the whole tear down the colonial state, and there's no plan to do that. It's just a vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
So you see these like weird amorphous radicalism, like just this weird amorphous radicalism emerging on both the far left and the far right, and it is quite incoherent in both camps.
On the left, it's able to be a vibe because it's been so like culturally steeped, like it's been so like left wing thinking has been so embedded like in like the culture, like Hollywood, and like you don't see like right wing movies or whatever. I mean, everything sort of has a spin to it that is like left leaning.
Interesting question. Would you say something like No Country for Old Men is like a conservative film in some ways?
No, I mean, so it's always interesting.
Not a traditional.
It's always interesting when people try and like bring up politics with Cormac, and like I know I actually am more privy to his politics, but his books are like, they don't interact with politics really. Like I really don't think they do. Like I think people sort of read into that. Like this article, right?
This is a funny article because they're basically like, oh no, like there's actually another side to Cormac. Listen, he's certainly not like, he's not a traditional right wing or left wing author. That's certainly true. But I think he's civil. I think he's a very like his view of human nature and civilization is so pessimistic that I think it's like sort of de facto quite conservative.
Well, I wouldn't say he's in his own personal politics. I can tell you, he was like very strongly like libertarian, where it's like literally anybody can do whatever the fuck they want. Don't tell me what to do. IRS, take your hands out of my pocket. I'm going to live my life and I'm going to do what I want. And I have total freedom to do that. So that was sort of his attitude. He also like reintroduced wolves into New Mexico and Arizona with what's his name? This guy, really famous environmentalist guy, but it's like that's like old school environmentalism where it's like no, like we need wolves back in like the wild,
That's actually based.
So he's like
that is actually no, I think that's right. Like he's definitely not like a sort of standard right wing or conservative. But I do think I did think this was a pretty silly article by Jacobin though, where they were like, I think they're trying to like sort of like find some progressive part to it. And it's like, if you read The Road, like it's about how like strange, scary guys want to rape and eat you.
It's not really politics.
When civilization collapses, like strange, scary guys will try and rape and eat you. And so, and even No Country for Old Men, it's kind of like the old sort of like chivalry of the sort of like of Texas, like the old sort of like cowboy era is like kind of, it's breaking down in the face of kind of like these really brutal cartels.
Yeah, and it's sort of about how like violence and evil is getting like more incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Where it's like you could kind of understand it in the Wild West, even when it was crazy and like there were gangs going through and doing whatever. But now like the new type of violence is outstripping like human nature, human understanding in a way. Like it's more random and vicious and like actually has no like access to it. Access, like AXIS. Like it is a different brand of violence. And like that's not really, that's sort of like it's not really a political
Yeah, it's not really political. That said, you could potentially read it though as responding to, I guess, the kind of inchoate anxieties that a lot of Americans felt at that time.
Yeah, it's true, but yeah, I guess you could read
the changing face of the country, the change that has taken place in the South and the border and things like that potentially.
Yeah, but so would you say that's like left wing or right wing?
Well, I definitely don't think it's standard right wing, and I don't think you could read it and be like, this is a Republican or a MAGA thing at all. Yeah. It's definitely not like that, because it's like great. It's like a great work of like human art and that type of thing. You can't just go, oh, it's MAGA. But I do think that like, if you read No Country for Old Men, I don't think you could be like, you could watch it and be like, yeah, open borders are awesome or something like that.
Yeah, right.
I don't think you could see it that way. And I don't think you could be like, the cultural exchange that is now taking place in, like the Deep South with the border and stuff with Mexico. I don't think you could watch it and be like, diversity is our strength type thing. Because Anton Chigurh is like kind of like this avatar of evil who is kind of like, it sort of has this sort of like vaguely foreign aspect to him in a way.
Well, he is. I mean, he is from like, I think he's from like Central America. He's like from like deep down.
Yeah. And it's kind of like,
he's definitely foreign,
Yeah. And it's like, he's like kind of presented as this kind of like incomprehensible. It's just like not comprehensible within the kind of the moral framework of like the West.
Yeah. Or he's like pure evil. Yeah. Where it's like it's almost like deified in a way where it's like, what am I? There's something transcendent about how evil he is, where it's like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I can't make sense of this mind. I can't make sense of these patterns. I can't make sense of these motivations. How brutal he is. Like just even the way he gets out of things, or like using that cattle thing as like a way to kill people. It's like, this is somebody who's not thinking traditional violent criminal ways. Like he's like pure evil.
He's such a good character. Like
he's ingeniously evil. Yeah, definitely.
One of the great villains.
Totally.
I'm interested. Like, what would you say is the main message of something like No Country for Old Men?
The main message, I don't know. I mean, Cormac's not really like a message writer.
Yeah,
although I guess No Country maybe is as close as he gets. I think this is what happens is like starting with, I think there's no message to his books until All the Pretty Horses.
Interesting.
And it's through meeting.
I haven't read that one yet.
It's really beautiful. It's really good. And I think it's through meeting Augusta and understanding her life.
I've got it here. I've got to read it.
You definitely should read it. Although I hate those covers. I hate that those editions.
I don't like these editions. Hey, they're not. I don't like how they did the covers on these.
Yeah, it's like so kitschy, like Western bullshit. But I think the message of all of his work, starting with All the Pretty Horses Through the Road, is like, it's worth it to try and be good, even if you're gonna fail, and like even like in the face of like insurmountable odds. The attempt to like have courage, like courage, not even the attempt to have courage, just courage, and also the attempt to do the right thing and just keep going is worth it. It's worth trying to do that and not succumbing, even if you are gonna at the end fail. So it's sort of pessimistic in a way.
It's pessimistic, but it's also very humane, because it is
exactly.
It is calling on you to keep going.
Right. And I think it gets too like academics or critics, whatever, will simplify it too much to like this image of like keeping a small flame, like going through like the darkness. But that kind of is a easy way of creating like a piece of imagery for like what his message is.
Actually, good question. You know the ending to No Country for Old Men, where he recounts the two dreams that he has, and one of them is that like he sees his father going past him on the path with the flame in the cold and wind. What do you think that means? That's an interesting question.
Oh, I can't remember. I mean, I would have to reread that section. No, I forgot about that dreams until you just brought it up. But I think my guess would be it kind of ties into this.
You know what? How about if I just put up No Country for Old Men? Because the film ending is actually almost the exact same as the literary ending, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, it's in terms of a movie adaptation of a novel, it's like it's so true to the book.
Yeah, it's again so different to One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
I've always loved this scene. He's such a good character, Tommy Lee Jones, in this film.
Maybe I'll go riding.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, I can't plan your day.
I mean, would you care to join me?
Lord, no, I'm not retired.
Maybe I'll help out here then.
Better not. How'd you sleep?
I don't know. Had dreams.
Well, you got time for them now. Anything interesting?
There always is to the party concerned.
And Tom, I'll be polite.
All right, then. Two of them both had my father in them. It's peculiar. I'm older now than he ever was by 20 years. So, in a sense, he's the younger man. Anyway, the first one I don't remember too well, but it was about meeting him in town somewhere. He gave me some money. I think I lost it. The second one, it was like we was both back in the older times. And I was a horseback, going through the mountains of a night, going through this pass in the mountains. It was cold, and there was snow on the ground. He rode past me and kept on going, never said nothing going by, just rode on past. He had his blanket wrapped around him and his head down. When he rode past, I seen he was carrying fire in a horn, the way people used to do, and I could see the horn from the light inside of it, about the color of the moon. And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead. And he's fixing to make a fire somewhere out there in all that dark and all that cold. And I knew that whenever I got there, he'd be there. And then I woke up.
Damn.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
I think in a way it's sort of simple. It's like his father's like still his father in the afterlife or something. But at the same time, it's that sort of complex. It's like in this place, like outside of like space time, it's like the lineage, the hierarchy still holds, and his father is still, even though he's older than him, he's lived longer, his father is still like ahead of him, and like still carrying forth this flame and still being like the protector, like setting up the fire by the time he gets there. That's it. It's interesting. I had to think more about it, but that's my initial reaction.
I still don't necessarily know exactly what he means, but it's certainly interesting, like the cold and the dark and fixing the flame. I think it kind of just reflects this like very deep anxiety potentially, or this very deep like concern about his place in the world. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is true, because I think like one of the themes is like his father was a sheriff before him, right?
Yeah, and starts out that way, like the whole novel. He's like, my father was a sheriff, his father too. Right. And then now the murders and the horrors that you see now, like they wouldn't even be able to comprehend it.
Right. Like his father was never sort of like surpassed or like beaten by the force he was fighting, like the civilization, like it never outstripped him. But now the son is being like outstripped by this new world where it's like maybe a sheriff is not even like an archetype that even works anymore,
Yeah.
And so it's like a way of like that archetype.
Sad.
Huh?
It's so sad in a way.
Yeah, very sad. It's so funny because I know people who like I know like some Europeans who like don't like this movie or don't get it. And it's like, well, I mean, it's so American. It's like, I don't know how you could just not like this. If you're an American, I don't know how you don't like this movie.
So the Europeans who didn't like it, what was their reasoning or justification? I'm interested.
I can't remember. I think they think it's too earnest or too simplistic. Like they need more like, abstraction and stuff. And it's like,
that's so
I don't have to tell you. This just like it is, but this just like hits like the American like id, This is like the American like psyche. Sorry.
It's interesting because like there's still like a lot of room for thinking about it in abstract terms. So I don't know like why they need it to be more abstract.
There's a really good joke. I don't know if I'll be able to get it, but it's like an Englishman and like a Frenchman are like trying to figure out like they're in some company and they're trying to figure out like the solution to a problem, and the Englishman presents a solution and the Frenchman sits back and thinks for a while and he goes, "Well, I see that this will work in practice, but will it work in theory?"
Yes, I don't know.
It's like I think this is a big.
That's the European mindset.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my god. It's like, all right, well, just all right. As an American, it's like I can only go so far with like theory over reality.
Gee, it's funny. I think Australia is much more influenced by America than Europe and Britain.
Oh, it's more influenced by Europe than America and Britain. It's interesting.
No. Sorry, I meant the other way. I think Australia is much more influenced by America than Europe and Britain these days.
Oh, and you think Britain is more influenced now by Europe?
Oh, I think Britain's more influenced by America too. I think in Australia though, we're definitely more influenced by America. I think we've got a quite Americanized culture.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I see. Like, I think the problem that originated with the left was like the infiltration of continental philosophy in the 20th century, starting with Marx. Like, I think communism is like a consolation that was developed in Europe for Europe not being able to become America, not being able to have the American Revolution in like a new land. And I think it's like that is. Well, I'm trying to develop it a little bit because I'm trying to like see if I can really stretch that out as like a lineage. But I think that's like the root problem of, I think communism, of course, as a utopian thing, it's like, okay, well, it's a utopia, of course, so that's great, but it doesn't end up working. But I think I think like egalitarianism is sort of like a socialism of morality in a way.
You can certainly see it that way, where like communism is like a sort of response to the fact that like Europe doesn't have the frontier and doesn't have like that opportunity for like really dynamic growth.
Right. So now you have to solve the inequality within the borders that you can't change,
Yeah.
And you can't keep moving. So of course, like communism develops as like a solution to massive inequality. Whereas like in America, the solution is like, just fucking get on your horse and like fucking go out west,
Yeah, go west.
And find money,
The sad thing is though, I think that old frontier spirit, like, and the opportunity for like develop, like, dynamic growth and stuff like that, I don't think that's there in America anymore. And that's probably why you now have the populism of the far right and the far left.
Yes, I think it's a huge problem, actually. I think like this is the first time in human history that we don't have a like relatively open new territory to like go and like start a new in. Like we're probably at like a civilizational point where it's like we should be going into like a new zone or a new piece of land and like starting a new country and just seeing what happens. But we can't do that anymore.
Well, that would explain why like people like Elon have the sort of like obsession with going to Mars.
Yeah, and I think it's like
they need the new frontier.
Yeah, and I respect that because it's like being an American, of course, I respect just like open frontiers, just like subconsciously. But I think on like a civilizational scale, I think that's why we're ossifying like so dramatically, because we literally cannot push out any further. Like it's all the border, everything's now closed. Yeah. So now we're figuring out like what do we do with this world in which like everything is connected, everything's tied up now.
Actually, this is a good question. What do you think the best case scenario for America is over the next 20 years, and what do you think the worst case is? like based on this idea, like, because it's really interesting. Like when we talk about like the frontiers being closed and stuff like that. Like, so where do we go from here? Where do you think?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, so okay, if I'm being like totally beyond the bounds of like reality, I think the best solution would be that we could somehow push out into space.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario is that we don't do any of. I mean, the best case scenario is that like the UAP phenomenon is real and that we're gonna like somehow have disclosure with aliens and like we're gonna like move into a next iteration of something. We'll have like a new ontology, like we'll have like a new sort of spirituality and like understanding and new knowledge, because we don't have any new knowledge, I don't think. The worst case scenario is we keep. Sorry.
No, sorry. You go to the worst case scenario. I before I cut you off.
Oh, well, the worst case scenario is just like that not happening, and we just continue fucking destroying ourselves, you know?
Yeah, I think worst case scenario is like years of lead across the country, which is pretty scary prospect, like mass civil conflict.
No, I think it is going to keep getting worse. Like these assassinations, I think these assassinations are. This is another nuance of it, but I think they're more in the sphere, like the psychosphere of like the mass shooting. Yeah. Like people on the left were like, oh well, this Charlie Kirk thing, it's incoherent. We don't really know his ideology. It's like, well, no, he's obviously not MAGA. You know, we know that he is a mentally ill person, but it's like in that sense, it's like part of this sort of like Columbine mass shooting thing where it's like
trying to
just
get
random, grotesque, super violence, you know, ultra violence, shock and awe, as Mom Donnie's father.
With the smirk. That's interesting. I was gonna say, do you have any hope for the AI stuff, or do you just think it's full slop?
I think for like the most part, it's full slop. I think it's something people greet it as a new phenomenon, but it really isn't. Like we've been in such like a cybernetic system for so long that we've been like funneled into a place where AI looks like so revolutionary in terms of like what it can create, because we've been. It's just the way that like modern capitalism works, like with like predictive, like targeted marketing, audience segmentation. This is why identity politics is so successful. Like it's a capitalist endeavor, you know, and it's not predicting the future, but it's like inventing the future. And AI is just that, but just like a million times quicker. But I do think there's going to be like some good. Like it's already like a very good version of Google. I mean, it gets things like really wrong, but it's sort of a much quicker search engine, and I think it'll end up being helpful for like menial tasks. But I think it's gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen, because it's so many of our like the full-time job I used to have when I was writing that Cormac Substack is a job that AI can absolutely do in 20 seconds, and like
what was it?
It was like writing these tech articles, like these technology articles, and like writing it in the style that the Google algorithm will rank highly, which means you have to write it for a computer. So you have to write it like a computer. That's why AI is so good at it. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like that bottom is gonna,
it does suck.
Oh,
it is.
No, it's horrible. And so it's like that, but also so that bottom is gonna fall out of like the economy, and I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I like using it for just like as like a kind of like search engine, because I find it's actually better than Google now, because I can ask it like complex. You can't ask complex questions for Google. You can only just like say like you can put like two words in, and you just get, and then you get a lot of slop. Whereas like AI, you can actually ask it a complex question, you get an interesting response. So I like it. I like using it as like an interesting kind of like as a personal research assistant type thing. But then I hate the use of it in writing, because I haven't seen any good writing by AI. And
the thing too is that it's gonna replace. It already is replacing writing, but it's replacing writing because mainstream writing has been devolving for so long to this algorithmic, like optimized. It's called search engine optimization. So you write in such a way that Google, SEO. So writing has been devolving that way for years. It's captured all ad revenue from magazines. So like magazines and news sites are just like going down the tubes. And they have to write this way to keep up. And now AI is going to replace it. Now if you do still use Google, half the time it returns an AI generated answer that is just amalgamating the top search results. So now these places that lost all their ad revenue and could only compete by writing in such a way to rank high in Google aren't even being clicked on. So they're not even getting the click revenue. So it's like
When you worked in that role, like how did they try to coach you on the Google algorithm stuff?
We had a whole team that their whole function was to like research search engine optimization, because Google doesn't share how it does its algorithm, but you can sort of assess it by how it behaves. So like we would have some article that was written, and it's like I would have to redo it. It was called remediations. So I would redo it according to this like super specific SEO guideline that some like SEO expert had come up with. And it's like you have to hit these target keywords, and it's like you write it like an encyclopedia entry. So it's like, what's a server? A server is a device that does this. A server, blah 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 blah. The first server was
that is actually torture.
No, it was like soul crushing, where I was like trying to write this Cormac thing, and I'm like, I was trying to write a novel, and I'm like, oh man, but I had to do it for money, you know, or else you just can't. You can't live. You can't have a girlfriend if you don't have money, you know.
Yeah, fuck, so, man, it sucks. Like, I wish that this was not the problem. Even I feel like the pressure, because like, you know, I probably about like half my income comes from my online media stuff now. And even that, like, you feel like the pressure, like, to go down slopification routes and stuff like that. And I hate that. My heart is in wanting to write a great novel one day. You know, like, it's hard. It's very hard. I think I told you about my idea. I told you about my idea. Yeah.
I have faith in it.
I'm hoping, God willing, I hope like maybe next year when I get into a more economically stable position, I might be able to find time to write it.
Are you graduating this year?
Yeah, I'm literally graduating in a month and a half, God willing, from my Bachelor of Arts. It took me so long. Wow. People make fun of me because my story was like, I got thrown out of university because I was protesting the Chinese government. That was like my sort of origin story. And so I ended up basically like taking a couple years off university, and my whole thing got really sidetracked. It was like pretty crazy. So I'll eventually be out of that, and God willing, I'm able to hopefully get a bit more time to properly write and stuff like that. And you don't have to. I wish if I won the lottery, dude, you know, this is the funny thing, right? Like you hear people and they're like, oh, if I won the lottery, I'd just retire. It's like, nah, dude, if I won the lottery, I would be so happy because I'd be insulated from the pressures of economics with slopification. So I would just retire to I'd retire to a castle and just write great novels. You know, I'd still be working very hard. I'd just be like doing it on hopefully more like spiritually productive work.
I'm the same, exact same. I would have the exact same.
Dude, I hope we win the lottery. Yeah. I hope we win the lottery. I think, man.
I will share it. If one of us wins, we'll share.
Inshallah. Dude, it was great to talk. We should definitely do another one soon. I'm going to write a proper one up on one battle after another. And what's your projects at the moment? You said you're working on some projects because we can potentially revisit them on the show.
Well, I sort of can't talk about the projects.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm working on. But
suffice to say that there's some great projects coming up.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 things that I'm working on that I can't talk about, but yeah, they're being worked on. You know?
When they released, we can definitely go into that.
Okay.
And it's good to know you, man, because I unfortunately don't have many literary friends, and I want to have more literary friends. Unfortunately, everyone in literature is like so left wing. Like I'm in my English literature class at university, dude, and everyone's like a communist. So I've got to found a new literary movement of people who are interested, young men who are interested in literature who are not communists.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm a good literary friend to have because I don't really even like the literary community. So
yeah, that's my whole thing. Didn't you know that statistic where it's like the New Yorker has only not even published a single like young guy in like 30 years or something? Like that? Anyone
really?
Born after 1987? What's the statistic? It's like the New Yorker has never published a straight white man under the age of like who was born after 1986 or something like that.
That's crazy.
Like never.
And I had somebody who like works in the industry telling me like they're like it's as hard to get published as a straight white male as it used to be like a openly gay writer in like the 1950s.
Yeah,
in America.
Here's the statistic. I'm putting it up on the screen quickly. So not a single white man born after. Hang on, wait, where did this go? Sorry, wait, hang on. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Not a single white man born after 1984 has been able to publish a work of literary fiction in the New Yorker. That's a real stat. That's fucking insane, to be honest. Like, how is
that's true? That's insane.
Okay. Where was? It is a real stat. It is a real stat. If you type in New Yorker 1984, I think it'll come up.
My whole ethos as like an artist is like, it's just. I mean, it's not art's really not democratic. It's just talent. If you're good, if the piece is good, if the writing is good, that's all you need. you know, and like you shouldn't be discriminating on any side, you know.
This is where it comes from. It was Compact Mag. Not a single white American man born after 1984 has published a work of literary fiction in the New Yorker. That's just awesome. That's such a good stat. That's such a crazy stat. 1984.
Oh my god,
that's so depressing. That's a real stat. That's a real stat. So 1984, what's that? Like that's 40? Like you're 40? Like they haven't published a single white man under the age of 40. That's mental.
That's crazy. And also, I also think guys are not really. Well, that's not true. I was about to say guys aren't really writing that much, but that's not true at all.
There has been a lot of young men are not. That's an interesting question, actually. Like, maybe it is the case that there are still a lot of these writers, but they're just not being. We just don't see them.
They're on Substack, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right, there are a lot of guys on Substack who write great works.
But this is such the funny thing about being like discriminatory in this way is that like so you're not publishing any like young, you know, writers because like they're straight white dudes. So then of course straight white dudes are still writing. So like they go on Substack and then people go, oh, it's right wing because it's just all straight white dudes. Like, no, it's like that's the only place where like you can you're gonna get published. You just hit post and you get published, you know.
Dude,
so it's like
I don't even try to get published anymore. I just post everything onto Substack. I'm actually really grateful that Substack exists.
Oh, do you have a Substack?
Yeah, I do. And I work at it not enough. I've written about 25 things this year, but I want to do more.
That's good.
I want to try to do at least once a week.
Yeah, I think that's the best model to have, but I can't do that. It just takes so long to develop things. Like I can't do if I did once a week. I think the pieces would be suffering. Like they just wouldn't be very good. I don't know.
It is really tough. The funny thing is, they haven't even published a gay white American born after 1984. It's just all young men are just purged. It's like a full purge.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It's such a problem. It's such a problem.
Man, we will inshallah be the change in the wilderness. God,
we're gonna both be published in the New Yorker.
One day. I'll never. No, you still could because you're still you're like a dissident liberal, but you're still a liberal. Whereas like I think I've publicly broken so hard with liberalism that it's impossible for me now. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I will found my own New Yorker.
Do you think I am a liberal? Do you assess me that way?
I would say you're like a dissident liberal, maybe like a heterodox liberal, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know what I am.
Description.
Well, yeah, I guess I am, but it's like, but I also have such, I would like to be somebody who has principles over politics. So like, I don't even know where that leaves me exactly, but I think it's probably fair to say that I'm a dissident liberal, but I do like that people confuse me for being right wing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it
creates good confrontations.
Yeah. I think all heterodox liberals get attacked like this. Do you know Quillette by any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think they're it's a little bit different, but they started off as sort of like heterodox liberals, and they got so savage at one point, like Wikipedia was calling them like literally a neo-Nazi outlet, which is like fucking mental, which is actually insane.
I know.
Like, I know both Claire. I know Claire, and she's like very moderate. She hates Trump. So
and now Quillette is back to being like sort of like center leftish or just center.
Yeah.
Like for a while, it was sort of like on like the fringe of like being like IDW or something.
Yeah, that's true. It was.
And then like after Trump, it's just sort of like, oh, they're not even
center.
Now they're not even. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's. I don't know. It's stupid. That's my.
I think
my summation.
I think it's center. But it is funny that for a while, like Wikipedia literally described it as like a far right publication, which is like crazy. Like I think they were like heterodox liberals. Like they were liberals who kind of diverged on, issues like transgenderism and stuff like that. Which
it goes back to like the Hitchens thing where it's like you're actually just the old version of a liberal from like the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
Or like the old version of like, and it's like, but like the left itself has changed. The left is like accelerated away, like the way like the universe is just like expanding at an accelerated pace. It's like the left is like outstripped you.
There's actually a really good statistic on this. I'm not sure if you saw this today. I'll show you this quickly. There was this new publication that came out. I retweeted, so I'm just trying to find it back in my old tweets. This is crazy, right? Democratic Party's priorities have changed. So change in frequency per 1,000 words of select terms in the Democratic Party platform. white, black, Latino, percentage change 1,000, climate 150, gun 725%, LGBT 1,000%. Like that's crazy. Like they did have a really big change.
Right. And there is such a weird language change with the left, like where it moves and develops so fast, changing all the time, where like words, you use like one new politically correct word and it's like 2 years later it could be like considered like offensive or something, you know? And it's like, it has this absurdity, but actually it's so capitalistic, which is the irony, because it's like always rebranding. It's like always repackaging. It's like always creating a new product of itself. And it's like, this is like such deep irony of like American leftism, is that it's so capitalistic. It's so it is a self-refutation of what people think it stands for, you know?
That's true, actually. I agree with you there. It's interesting. They commodify stuff in such profound ways. It's very funny.
Right. And that's why I think like it's spun out so much. It's like then Curtis Yarvin's actually like an organic, I think, trajectory of like a certain branch of like the left wing in a way. It's like if you keep rebranding so far out of this sort of space. I mean, going back to like my earlier comments, it's like he makes sense as like a new brand or something, you know, even though he's sort of arguing for like right wing structures or just like anti-left structures. It's like, I don't know.
I do see a point that is quite postmodernist. I think you're right there.
And postmodernism is fundamentally left wing, I think. It has its roots in the same ideologies that like birthed like Marxism and all the big like fringe like edgy left wing ideologies.
Yeah. No, I think that's true, man. I think that's true. I might have to head off.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. What were you gonna say?
I don't have the energy to like fully articulate that the way that I did earlier, because you were more convinced of this argument an hour ago, but I don't have the energy to like formulate the sentences the right way to convince you, you know?
No, I do remember your argument an hour ago, which was a pretty good argument where I think they do come out of the sort of postmodernist, that way of thinking. I think
in cybernetics, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a way of thinking about the world. You know what? I remember like Jordan Peterson used to rail against postmodernism, and then I took a class on literary postmodernism, and then I was like, I don't think Bret Easton Ellis, for example, in American Psycho, is like advocating postmodernism. I think he's just describing like this is the way the world is now, and it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
I think that's how it is. Like,
can I make a funny parting comment about Jordan Peterson and postmodernism?
Yeah, please do.
He, of course, like part of the reason why he became so famous was like for his arguments against postmodernism. And but now, like for instance, I know he's convalescing again somewhere, some like obscure place.
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
I do feel bad for him. He's been really sick, but I'm not trying to make light of that, I guess. But,
no, I get you.
But no, I'm not. But he now, like, if you ask him, like, do you believe in God, for instance, he starts going, well, what do you mean by believe? You know, and he's like deconstructing like words to where it's like, oh, now we're in this like relativistic postmodern place where like there's no definition of anything, and it's like,
I do
just say you don't believe in God, dude.
Yeah, no, I do remember that video. That was actually pretty interesting. Like, it is kind of crazy that he made his way as like an anti-postmodern thinker, but he does go into that quite a lot in some ways.
Right, because he's fundamentally in this contradictory, hypocritical space because he doesn't actually believe in the reality of God, but he believes in like the symbolic reality of God and Christianity. Yeah. And he believes that symbolism is even more real than like what you would call reality. And it's like, that's not Anglo-rational philosophy, first of all.
I know, I guess he could just call himself a cultural Christian. I mean, that probably would make more sense than what he's currently doing, but it is a little bit silly.
Well, it's silly because he has these aspirations of getting people back to church. So it's this old William James sort of utilitarian argument where it's like William James is like, I don't believe in God, you know, but you guys should. And it's like, that's so patronizing.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so intelligent where I know it's a ruse and a lie, but like, you're not as smart as me. And it would behoove you to believe in it and go to church. So you should go do that. And I'm telling you this, you know, it's like,
that's
so
pretty crazy, to be honest. Like, it would legitimately just be better if he just, I don't know, like, you can't have that halfway position. You have to either believe in it or not. You just be honest that you don't believe in it.
Exactly. So like, I think that's why he started to fall out of favor as well. Like those recent, before he got ill again, like those recent sort of debates he was doing, whatever that viral thing is, where he debated like 20 students, that sunk him. I mean, like people were like, "What is he?" Now he's going to these complicated, incoherent convolutions to just obfuscate answering, but whether he believes in God or not.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think he did lose a lot of support from that, which is like, it's a sad thing. I don't know. Maybe he just was, I mean, being charitable, maybe you could say he was, you know, in a bad place at that point. He's obviously been sick for a long time. I feel bad for him. I think with Jordan Peterson, he had such stratospheric fame in such a short period, and I think he struggled to deal with that.
Yeah. I think he didn't know. Yeah, I agree.
It's crazy, man, because he was a pretty anonymous professor until like he was like 50, like mid-50s, and then just suddenly overnight he was like one of the most famous men in the world.
Right.
Or not in the world, but one of the most famous Western political commentators.
And this is my final thought.
Yeah,
I think he only fills this vacuum that we needed of a dissident, an intellectual dissident, because of like the absence of figures like Christopher Hitchens, who died like way too young.
Oh,
like
dude,
if
it's
there's
so sad.
If somebody like Christopher Hitchens was around, I doubt. I mean, Peterson would have still had the same. He would have been fighting against the same forced speech law or whatever. But I don't think he would have been able to exist in that sort of like public sphere as much, because I think Hitchens would have wiped the floor with like all of these people. Like I think he debated Ben Shapiro once, and it's like, you're not going to out debate Christopher Hitchens ever, you know.
Damn. Oh, sorry. My housemate just hit a spider. No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's good. Dude, look, great talking to you, man. I'm glad that we properly talked. Fingers crossed I'll be able to come to New York soon. I wish I could come for the mayor election, but unfortunately I can't. But God willing, man, God willing, I'll be able to come soon. And then we'll have to do a proper chat, and we could do a show in person.
Yeah, we'll do a proper hang, and I'd love to do this again. This was a great time.
For sure, man. I enjoyed it. It was really interesting. I enjoy hearing your thoughts on things. I like your theories, and I hope you spin some of these into articles.
Well, I might have a piece coming out soon, so just cross your fingers, and maybe we can talk about it again. Yeah, maybe we can talk about it again. Yeah.
Thank you, King. See you,
All right, Drew.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you, man.
Thank
Have
you
a great
very
day.
much.
Thank you, bro.
You too.
Bye. See you, man.